Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Mindful LCA. My brain just kind of stopped working for like a split second right there. Uh, Today, we're going to do another catch up episode. Last time I hogged up the whole episode, so this time I'm going to listen. And Norma's going to talk about what she's been kind of dealing with, struggling with, or just been dealing with. How are you
Yeah,
doing today?
I'm good. Our new guest is
What
Chaya.
you
She's
do?
going to tell us about her struggles of being a dog and in a Mexican family.
None, pretty much.
Exactly. She's
Nice.
like, "What struggles? What are you talking about?"
Yeah. This
It's
reincarnation
so baby.
put me in a dog.
Yes, yes. In a Mexican family, uh, in a Mexican household, but lives in the States. Because if Mexicans from Mexico, they have them in la azotea and all outside. No, esos no. In a Mexican household in the United States.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm good. We just recorded an episode in Spanish with my grandmother. It like literally came to me like 2 nights ago, or like yesterday morning in the middle of the night. I woke up and I was like, I need to have my grandma on the podcast because of experiences that have been happening recently with her. So I feel really grateful that I was able to have that. Thank you for giving me space for her to share a little bit of her life story. It was really cool. So and she I was debriefing with her right now, and my mom also asked her like, how did you feel? And my grandma was like, I feel like I was um, que serví para algo. Like I feel that I was able to give something. If anything, the advice that I gave them to like do whatever they want. She basically said um, the value that she said is honesty. Was it honesty? No,
Honrado.
honradez. How do you say honrado?
Ay, wait, hold up. ¿Cómo se dice honrado en inglés?
En inglés, honrado se dice honorable.
Honorable. That doesn't fit, right? But to just be like uh,
It is like kind of like honest and
honest,
humble,
but
kind of a mixed thing, right?
I take it when it comes to honrado. I think I take it more with I don't know why like the word money comes into my head of like, let's say if somebody has $20,000 in there and I'm able to like have access to them, being honrado is like not
Like,
touching that money. If somebody trusts you with
like
something
righteous.
righteous, yeah, kind of like right, yeah, I like that. I think I like that better, being righteous. So that was her value that she shared with us, being righteous,
Yeah.
and to her advice was to, now that it's allowed, that's the way she put it, do whatever you want now that it's allowed. Because in her time, she spoke about having to be very like obedient, both with her mom and with my grandpa, and she didn't get to do a lot of stuff. So yeah, so I'm feeling very very grateful about that episode. It's been, well, I'll get into it right now. But how are you?
Uh, I've been struggling a little bit because I haven't gotten good sleep, and when I don't get good sleep, my brain goes to shit. Like
Mhm.
literally, I just get a lot more sad, like a lot more fucking moody, and all that shit because I was sick and then the holidays. So it's
Mhm.
been a little bit of a struggle, and because it's all about honesty, I'm gonna take like 2 minutes, even though I said I wouldn't. I spent the New Year's by myself with the girls and my wife, and that was sad. Not a single
Okay.
fucking soul invited me to do anything and didn't do shit. And then, so that was the first. So that was interesting, kind of thing. Like I was bummed out since the day before. I did invite somebody that we're close to, and then they ended up not being able to make it for some reason. And it was just like, what the fuck? How did I go from a childhood with like fucking 200 people to like now it's literally just us. Um, and then I just like I started looking at the girls and I processed it a little bit and I said, well, they're here and they're providing some happiness being themselves, not knowing how I was feeling or whatever. But it was definitely a challenge to spend it alone after my like when my inner child is used to big fucking parties. So that was kind of tough.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I yes.
But don't
I
forget about
can.
me. I was just venting. Okay, that's it. I don't need shit from you. Let it be. Move
No,
on
no,
to you.
no. Like because that's what I was gonna say. Like because I don't think we've had like an update episode since before Christmas. So I was I was gonna say like yeah, I guess I had a little bit of that happening. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. Um, yeah, so we can get into it a little bit, but within the last month, I think, my grandma has been hospitalized twice. Um, we still don't know what they are. They're treating them as seizures, but we don't necessarily know that they are seizures. They just gave her seizure medication, and hopefully the episodes will not happen anymore. But I don't know, she like loses speech. She just like, her tongue comes out. She starts grunting. It's very scary. It's very scary to watch. Um, so she was hospitalized twice for those. So it has been a lot of reflection. It has been a lot of thinking about death, thinking about her death specifically, logistics of it. What should we do? Should we keep her here in Vegas? Should we take her to Mexico? All of these things. So it has been really, really rough to deal with that. My mom is her main caretaker. She's the one that takes in everything when it comes to like my grandma's life and health. And I'm like the one that has been through with her throughout the whole process. And it has been one of the things that I'm like noticing. Part of like this is also taking accountability. My sister doesn't notice, but my sister that lives here, like there was this point that I was like angry at her because she like wasn't there, right, to like support me. But then later I'm like, bitch, like when did you even ask for help? Like when did you even reach out to be like, yo, I need help? So I've had to also really sit down with myself and being honest, being accountable for, you cannot expect people to give you something when they don't know that you're needing this. Mm-hmm. So that happened the first hospitalization. And the second hospitalization, that's when I'm like, okay, I need my sister to help me out because I'm like tapping out, like I'm running on fumes. And I did say like, hey, can you stay with my grandma tonight instead of me or my mom? And she's like, yeah, like I'll stay. And it was like that for me. It was like that. Like I was fighting with my sister. She didn't even know, again, because I never told her anything. But then just me being able to take that responsibility of like, if there's something that I need, then I need to ask for it. And when I did, I was like, she was like, yeah, I'll help you. Like, and just how that simple, it seems so simple, but it seems so hard at the same time, of being able to just ask is something that's really hard for me to do. Like for me, I've always had this expectation of people knowing what I need, like mind reading. So I've had to work through that. So it was really good for me to take that fucking step and be like, this is not your sister's fault. Like, you're not asking, so you can't be mad at her for not knowing you need something. So that was good, a good growth on my part. Seeing this shift of this woman as somebody that took care of me, that like bathed me, clothed me, fed me, raised me. And it's sad, and I feel sad and I feel grateful at the same time. Where like I feel so grateful, so privileged to be able to give that back to her, to like feed her, to care for her, to look after her. And at the same time, I'm like, to see the decline in her health, to see the matriarch, that's the one that's held the family together, to be the one that needs to be cared for, has also been really hard for me to watch. The decline in her memory, the decline in her motor skills, like all of that. I'm like, fuck. I'm struggling with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to, as much as possible, to be there, to help my mom out. So that if she passes away before I do, then I can like sit there and be okay, be at peace with where I'm at with my grandma, to not regret anything. Because there was this instance when my grandpa passed away, her husband, one of my cousins, hadn't talked to him, hadn't seen him in years. At some point, because of life, whatever, my grandparents saw this cousin out on the street, and this cousin like ignored them, completely ignored them. And I remember my grandpa and my grandma crying, like, hey, like, they ignored us. And then when my grandpa passed away, they came to the funeral and they were like sobbing, like crying. I was really angry at them. And I remember walking up to them and saying, why are you crying? Why now? You should have done this when he was alive. And they just like looked at me, and one of my uncles was like, don't say that. Like, why would you say that? But I don't know if it was their guilt that was showing up, right? Because they ignored my grandparents. They didn't talk to them for years. And then all of a sudden when they passed away, they come in and they're like grieving. So I don't want to have that. I don't want to have this sense of like guilt or regret when it comes to my grandma. So I try to be there as much as I can, so that if and when she passes before me, then I can be like, I'm okay. I can let go and I can be at peace with what I've done.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I got to wipe Alia's butt. She's been yelling at me. We'll be right back.
Okay.
And okay, we're back after wiping butt.
Perks of being a parent.
Yeah, she was a little bit mad at me. She's like, Daddy, I've been asking you for ages. What the heck?
How dare you? How dare you let her sit with a dirty butt for that long?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I've been at for the past weeks with grandma. Gosh, I had so many like learning experiences with that.
I can see you want pen?
Um,
What happened? Another pause. We'll be right back. Why
you
did it do
did?
that again? No,
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
press one button. I don't know why I play the intro again, but something's happening. But we're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, something's going on. Like somebody
I don't
just
know why I
came to
play the
this
intro one
door.
more time.
Um. Anyways, so yeah, I was saying like there were a lot of like teachings, lessons that I was faced with. So during this last hospitalization, um, I learned that my ex husband's parents were in town. Um, the the dad reached out to my dad because they still have like a good relationship, and my ex husband's mom reached out to my mom and was like, "Hey, I heard your mom's at the hospital." And she's like, "Yeah," um, because whatever they found out. So like the day that they got here, they went to the hospital to see my grandma. So I saw my ex husband with his parents at the hospital, and that was a really cool experience to have as well because I hadn't seen him. I had not seen that man for months, maybe 6 months, more than that. I don't know. I didn't see him in a long time. So it was the first time that I saw him after like I've done some of the work with myself. So it was I see it as almost like a test type of thing of like, let's see how, because I come in here and I'm like, preach about like the healing and I don't hate them and all of these things, right? And but being able to actually like see him and like being face to face with him, be like, huh, I am okay with you. Like I don't hate you. Like I don't feel any type of like way about you. I am so appreciative that like your parents just got off a fucking flight. Traveling sucks, like, cause it's long. They're older, and they chose to come to the hospital to see my grandma, and I was really really grateful for that. Um, so it was nice to see him, and know that there's no hard feelings on his end, on my end, that we could just be cordial with each other and be like, cool. Um, like our time has come and gone and we're okay. So that was pretty cool to experience as well.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. I I'm hesitant. I don't know how much I want to share, but I do want to share. Um, Another thing that I've been dealing with. Um, I recently started dating, so I was like, okay, let me try this online dating thing, and I tried it out. I went on a date with a person, and it was cool. Mm, I think before I like share anything, I just want to preface with the reason for me sharing is that anyone, like it doesn't matter how like healed you are, how aware you are, um, you can still be prone to danger and to things. Um, so it was also a humbling experience for me. Um, yeah, so like I said, I went a couple of days with this person, and everything was fine, quote unquote fine. There were some things here and there that caught my attention. I'm like, what's going on here? Like a little bit of like testing behavior to see if the person would request something and if I would do it or not. And the opposite side was like a lot of love bombing, right? Of like this sense of making me feel like very special, that I was different, like all of these things. And later learning that there is a big possibility that I was like being groomed to be sex trafficked was harsh. It was very harsh. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine where I was like, yeah, things are good, but I don't know. There's like certain things, this and that. And I'm telling my friend about things that happened, and my friend was like, can I tell you something? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm open to any feedback. And they were like, it seems like this person is, they didn't use the word groom, they just say like, it seems like this person's like manipulating you. And I'm like, tell me more. So then we went through like the behaviors that I mentioned that were like kind of off. So then looking, I have another friend that is like an FBI agent. Because one of the things that this person did was like the name that he gave me was not the name, his actual name. I like later found that out. So then my friend was able to, by their first name and their location, look this person up, and then the priors came up of like they had been convicted of sex trafficking in the past. So I've never heard of what the boyfriend pimp strategy was. My friend sent me an article, be like, hey, seems like this is what's happening. So I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, like all of this happened in the span of a day when like I had this conversation with friends and everybody bombarded me with this information. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is going on? Like, it was a lot to wrap my head around. And just, it's really funny, but not funny, how when I went on dates with this person, I sent people their picture, I sent people my location, because in my head, I'm like, there's a possibility that I could be murdered. That's always a possibility. But not once in my head was there a possibility of me possibly being groomed or trafficked. So so that was an experience. That was an experience to find that out, to go through that. Not gonna lie, like a lot of shame came about from that, because it was like, you're a therapist, like you should know better. Like, how could you let yourself be in this situation? Like for a couple of days, I was like bashing myself about it, of like, you let this happen type of thing. But it just really goes to show how, when it comes to manipulation, these people are really good at it. They are really, really good. And I'm saying, even though I would pick up on things, I'm like, and I even told this person a couple of times, I'm like, why do you do that? And he was like, what? Like, why are you like testing me constantly? And he was like, oh, you're right. I do that. I need to stop that. It's just, sometimes I'm just, I'm used to doing that. I do need to do better. Right. So, like, even when I was able to pick up some things, like I could not see like the whole picture, because they were so good. They were so good at like engulfing you in that world, that, yeah, I never thought that would happen to me, and it did. And We were supposed to meet before I learned about this. Like we were supposed to meet because he was going to be traveling and then coming back to Vegas, and we're supposed to meet like 2 weeks after we had met. Obviously, after I found about this, like I didn't reach out to him anymore for whatever reason. He didn't reach out to me either. And the day that he was supposed to be here, I was like, oh, he didn't text me. He never showed, whatever. And I remember one of my friends. That was also the day that my grandma got hospitalized again, so it was a hard day. My friend was like, do you think he's in jail again? And I was like, I don't think so. But I just like randomly looked up his name, and this was a Wednesday, and the Friday prior to that, he got arrested again for sex trafficking. So that was like the confirmation of like, holy shit, I was being groomed. I was being groomed by this person to be trafficked. So it has been quite a lot to kind of sit with that, to process, to come to terms with. Like there is still a little bit of like fear, I guess would be the right word, of what about if this person reaches out? What about if, just thinking about like my safety. So yeah, that has been my life in the past month or so. Algo leve, algo tranqui.
Some light work stuff.
Something light or whatever.
I think maybe I missed it, and maybe I'm missing something. But can you explain what more in detail? Because you said, well, what it meant and stuff. But what is it? What did it make you feel? Because I think you just kind of, maybe you already processed it, so you just like talked about it in like more of a logical kind of way. But like, how did that make you feel? Or what? I know there's fear and shit like that you mentioned at the very end.
How did what specifically?
The process, the whole thing of dealing with it, or realizing that stuff. Like, how did it make you feel?
When I realized, when my friend was like, can I tell you something? I was like, yeah. And she starts telling me the behaviors. Be like, yeah, it seems like this person like is trying to manipulate you. I remember just like as soon as it was almost like there was a veil, and as soon as she told me all of these things, like the veil like came off. Like she brought me back to reality. It was this immediate sense of disgust. Like a lot of disgust came about. Like I feel really, really nauseous in that moment. I told her, I was like, I need to throw up. Like I want to throw up right now. Because like this person, it's really interesting because just yesterday I was like, because the conversation's still there through text, and just yesterday I was looking through the conversations, and I'm just like, it feels, my brain is trying to, the logical part of my brain and the limbic system, or the instinctual part, the emotional part of my brain, is trying to reconcile both of them, because the logic is like, you were being groomed, this was not true, this was not real. But the emotional brain is still like, but it felt so genuine. Like it feels so good to be around this person. And even looking at the messages of like seeing how nice he was, and knowing that it's all bullshit, and how nice I was, and knowing that it was genuine. It's, my brain is having a hard time processing it. It's almost like when you find out that Santa is not real. I hope no kids are listening to this.
I doubt it.
Hope not, but you never know. finding that out, it's like, but how? Like, how is this not real? Like when it felt like it felt really like genuine, and knowing that it's not, I think part of me also felt dumb. I feel very like gullible, and me being like que me las doy de acá, que hago y deshago, que soy bien cabrona or whatever, to know that can happen to anybody. It also was a very humbling experience. I'm like, oh shit. Um, because I'm not gonna lie to you, right? Like a lot of times I would ask myself, like, how can people be with narcissistic people and not like leave? Like, how do you not see it, right? Or like, because when you think of like a narcissistic person by the textbook of like they manipulate, they do this, they do that, blah blah. So then you're like, if you're seeing all of these things, if it seems really like clean cut, um, very textbook, that you would see all of this, that you would identify all of these red flags, so then you would just leave. But being in it, like being in it is like you can't see everything. You really can't. So it was disgusting. It was conflicting. It was shameful. It was humbling. It was sad. It was scary. It was angering. Part of me wanted to reach back out and to be like, I know what you're doing and fuck off. But I also didn't want to give this person that power. So I'm like, I'm not going to reach out. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my mind goes to like finding the lesson a lot of the times, right? And it's cool, and I thank you for sharing it, because sometimes, at least through my perspective, you think of like more like kids, right? Like more of this happening to kids because they don't know
Mm-hmm.
shit, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
it's unfortunately, but it's a lesson to be learned that it could even happen to somebody like you know. It could happen to anybody,
It can
even
happen to anybody.
regardless, yeah, regardless of the age or whatever. So to be very aware of all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me sad too, like to think for my girls all the time, um,
Mm-hmm.
to still have to continue to work at that, giving them the knowledge and the shit, and being like, well, this is a possibility and this is why, you know. Especially my fucking kids, that you want them to have critical thinking, and then they question the shit out of you. They're like, fuck, how much do I have to tell you all kinds of shit, you know, because they don't accept the simple solutions or the simple because I said so. And then they're like, well, tell me fucking why you want me to do this or you not want me to do this. Like,
Yeah.
what's the reason? Like, even Mia yesterday, I don't know what the fuck was happening with Celia and my wife. And Mia's like, yeah, but beside you telling me because you're telling me to, like, what's the reason? Why though? Like, what's the what the fuck? Just other than you're telling me why, tell me why you're telling me this, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it just makes me like conscious of it, and to be even more careful of shit. And I do I don't remember if I told you this or was I telling Celia, because I know you mentioned it to Celia, I think too. My thing was like, well, even having the little bit of questioning or conscience might have protected you.
Absolutely. And that's what.
Like he probably saw that shit and he was like, wait, like she fucking, she's smart when it comes to this shit, and she's asking the questions, so she might not be such an easy fucking target at all for this shit, or maybe she's gonna require more work or whatever the fuck it might be, you know.
Yes, and that's what I was going to tell you, that like because you're saying like, okay, I need to work harder when it comes to my girls. Honestly, a couple of things that I'm grateful for, that I genuinely believe that helped me in the process. I think the biggest lesson, me personally, like as a person, that I got was, I still need to work on that wound of like feeling seen and feeling special, because that is one of the things that he was able to identify really quickly, and he he that's the part that he was working on. So like that was the lesson of like I still need to work on that. Not having the need to be validated, to be seen, to feel special by somebody else. And the other is how strong of a community I have. That is probably the biggest thing that protected me, because the days that I like spent with him, I wasn't talking to anybody. Like I was just really engulfed by everything. I was talking to people where like, oh yeah, I'm going like on a date. I'm gonna be with this person. Oh, it was a really cool experience, but I wasn't sitting and processing with people. Like I was just like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And this is one of like as much as like when it comes to like social media, I don't share a lot of my life. Obviously now, because you've made me do this podcast, I've had to get out of that. But when it comes to my people, my community, I am very open. I am way too open. And I think that also helped me, because like the moment that I started sharing with my friends about like, yeah, like this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, they were all able to give me an outside perspective and be like, you should probably look at this. There are a lot of people that don't have that community, that are just like that. The wound of like feeling seen, feeling special is so big, and we don't have that social support, that the isolation part becomes very easy, because a lot of these people prey on that. Like they count on isolating you so that they can do whatever it is that they're trying to do. So having that sense of community really, really helped me. So when you're saying like I need to work harder on these things, like I think you are already doing enough of a good job with that. And as long as they can come to you and be like, because this whole thing, like I was also telling my mom about, like my mom knows about this. So like my sisters know about this. So being able to tell my family about it, where I know I'm not going to feel judged. Like I know I'm not going to feel like, my mom was like, girl, what the fuck is wrong with you? But still knowing that that's still enough of a safe space for me to come and debrief about it, it helps me, because other people are going to be like very judgmental, very like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? And if people don't have that, then they're not going to be able to be like, hey, help me sort through this. So yes, that sense of community. And yeah, you're right. I think some of the things, because he would have behaviors and I would be like, have you noticed that you do this? Have you noticed that you do that? But again, like and maybe that was also my downfall, was like, I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. So he shared enough to where like, oh yeah, I've done some fucked up shit in my past, but I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm like, all right, he's trying to change. He's just like a wounded human. Let's like give him a chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But still being able to call those things out. I remember one of the questions that he asked was like, who have you told about me? Like he specifically asked that. Who have you told about me? And I was like, oh, everybody knows about you. My mom knows about you. My friends know about you. My sisters know about you. Like everyone knows about you. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I tell and he was like, your mom knows about me? I'm like, yeah. I have a very close relationship with my mom and with my sisters, with my friends. Like I'm very open with them. Like I share a lot of my life with them. Like, so, and I remember telling him, if you're going to murder me, they're going to know who it was, because they also have my location. They also have my picture, your picture. So like they know who I'm hanging out with. And he was like, oh. So I think those were things of like, oh shit, like this person's not going to be as easy of a target, because sure enough, when he like went to travel, he didn't reach out again, because he was like, this bitch is probably not going to not be the one. But yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy and sad that that shit still happens. But I don't think you're wrong for seeing the good in people first, right? It thinks to be that's always supposed to be the case until it's proven the other way, right? I think that's how we should strive to see people until then you see these problems and you go from there. You can change your opinion after that. Man, that's crazy. Like makes me think of all the shit that we deal with, and then imagine all the shit that people deal with that they don't talk about.
Yeah.
Like so much shit in this kind of conversations that we have about our lives and what we're struggling or dealing with, and that's just like what we talked about in my episode and what you're talking about. It's in a matter of like fucking less than a month, right?
Yeah.
So then you imagine all this shit that could be happening to other people that they don't talk about and how overwhelmed they can be and shit like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. And again, that part, and this is why we stress this so much. Like right now, there is a part of me that's like, should we actually like air this, right? Because one, being quote unquote private with my life when it's not with people that are close to me, talking about being groomed, right? I think a little bit of that shame is showing up right now of like you really want people to know that like you put yourself in the situation, right? And at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I do, because I want I want to normalize these types of conversations
Yes.
for people to know that just because this is one of the examples that we've talked about in the past, where like Steve and I don't have our shit together. Like we can talk here and sit here about talking about mental health, but that doesn't mean that we are immune to life, to shit happening to us, to being exposed to danger, whatever. And so that is why I think it's so important that I do talk about this. Like, hey, this is something that I went through. Maybe this will resonate with somebody else. Maybe because somebody that was in a similar situation was like, I wish that I was able to talk about it the way you're able to talk about it.
Mhm.
So as much as like that shame is showing up right now, telling me of like, bitch, like you're gonna tell, like you're gonna put your business out there like that. I do want people to know that, yeah, like this is shit that happens to us. And I think the reason why I am able to talk about it in such a short period of time from when it happened is because I have been able to sit with it, think, talk about it with people, process it in community, have that support that it's like, hey, it's okay. My people got me. Like I don't have to do it alone. And whomever might be experiencing something similar, you're not alone.
Yeah.
This can literally happen to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also like you said like how do you put yourself in that situation where like I don't like blame you either. I don't blame you like one bit at all. I don't see it as like somehow anything being your fault or anything that you did in there. Like I don't think there should be, from my perspective, anything that you blame yourself for or like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. Like how the fuck are you supposed to know that? You get me? Like how are you supposed to fucking be aware of that shit? Like you're just doing it because you have an intention to build connection with somebody and all that shit. And
I
it's
just
like, how can
wanted
you,
to date.
yeah, like how could you possibly fucking blame yourself for that part of it? Um, but yeah, this is why it's important to talk about all the shit that you mentioned, just to even bringing awareness of it.
Yeah.
Bringing awareness to somebody that might be going through the same situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and then going back to the show with your grandma, like I don't even know what the fuck there is to say. Like I don't think there's nothing you can do or shit like that. It's just I think it's like the ultimate lesson of love at the end of the day. That's what like death is. Like
Mhm.
acceptance and love. That's literally what it is.
Mhm.
There's not a fucking shit you can do about it. And it's the biggest thing on acceptance and also love, you know?
Mhm.
So as a reminder, because of that, I think, like we talked about it before, I think your life completely changes after that happens. And
Yep.
you become more appreciative and you become more thankful for shit, for the little things, for every day. And, just loving, become more loving and more gentle, more empathetic, more everything that you're supposed to do. I think that's what that does, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It it does. Definitely does. I think both of these experiences that I'm sharing with you, both the hospitalization, both the being exposed to danger, um, like the part of like how fragile our life is, how it can be gone in like no time, has really given me that perspective of being able to appreciate, to live to the fullest, to appreciate every day. Um, and the part of I don't know if you've heard this saying of not every day is a good day, but there is good in every day. Um, I genuinely believe that because even if I know that the situation, like even when at the hospital, when I was with my grandma, we had a really rough night one night, and I was really angry at her, and I like yelled at her. I like held her down because she was like ripping off her IVs, and she just would not want to stay in bed, and like that was really difficult, and I had to like physically like restrain my grandma and I yelling at her of like please stop, behave, um that's not my proudest moment. It is not my proudest moment to have treated my grandma like that. um and even if it's not my proudest moment, just knowing that had I not been there, my grandma could have fallen off the bed because she tried to get out of bed so many times that night. Like even if I screamed at her, even if I was angry at her, she was still safe. Like that's the part of like I want to take that away. With the other situation, right? Of like, okay, even if I learned that it wasn't necessarily like a genuine thing for him, that I I have so much love to give, and so much I'm a beautiful human, and I don't want even that situation to change, right? Because people were like, don't let this, um, like, okay, maybe you're gonna be afraid to like date again and stuff like that, and I'm like, no, like I'm not gonna let that one situation deter me from like, oh, just because this happened to me, like I'm not gonna date anybody. Like I'm gonna be myself. Like fuck that. Like no. Like I still want to find a partner, and it just means that I need to be more careful. I need to be more cautious, and I'm okay with that. But um, like the part of every experience that you have has a lesson, to teach you and to help you be better. Like I want to stay with that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. There's something good in everything. If it's not a, how do they say it in like the more usual how guys talk about like sports and competition and shit like that. If it's not a win, it's a lesson.
Mhm.
Right? There's something to learn from it, from the struggles or from not succeeding on it.
Mhm.
Learning from everything. So yeah, I get you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's been my life for the past little bit over a month because this whole thing started around Thanksgiving. Um, yeah.
yeah. Talk about it. Talk about it, people. Whatever it is, talk about it.
Mhm.
Find somebody to talk about it. That's the kind of like the reminder of the shit. Again, is we don't have it all together, but we do have some fucking skills, right? Like we've learned some shit throughout our life when we put in the work. So then once again, if I'm struggling with something and you struggle with something, I can just feel what other people that don't have whatever the fuck we have, and like you said, the community that we have, like shit, you know, how much more
Yeah.
painful, how much harder everything is that they don't have a community or a friendship or the ability to talk about your feelings or analyze shit. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
continue to. It's a
Definitely.
learning
Yeah.
progress for all of us, and no matter where you're at, the most important thing is to talk about it, and you're not alone. You know, a lot of times people don't even realize for me how one sentence, one shit that they say makes me feel seen and understood and heard. Like such a simple, quick thing that they say as a reaction, as feedback, or as something that makes me feel at ease or at peace, or like I said, understood or seen. You know, of
Yeah.
some simple shit. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, talk about you.
Yes.
Talk about your shit.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right then. We good then?
I think so.
All right. Banners. I don't even think we're just gonna say it. Mindful podcast living at gmail.com. I'll put it in here anyways. Any feedback, any comments, you want to be a guest, you want to have a topic specific you want to talk about, also you can message us on social media, mindful.lca on TikTok and Instagram, for anything that you need. If you want to join the Instagram group, you can also let us know, send us a message, let us know somehow, we'll add you there. And yeah, remember, you gotta let go in order to grow,
Mhm.
and then be
Yes,
ready to
you
grow.
do.
All
Yes.
right, peace, late.
Bye.